It's Sunday morning. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live, and it's Breakfast with the Boys. This is one of 2 weeks where we're going to be at 11 a.m. My apologies to everybody. I had a few things I have to do, like catch a plane next Sunday. Sorry. But without further ado, the cast, as always, I have Shawn Slaght, who is over in Saskatoon this morning, recovering from a rush victory last night over the Seals. Congratulations, Shawn.
Thank you.
And I have Muffler Mike over in Connecticut, who is adorning with Saskatchewan and Vancouver winners on his doors. Well done. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing good.
Good. The Rock, they came away with a big victory last night, clinched first overall as well. We're a happy bunch here today. And, of course, Mike has a chance to watch Albany this afternoon, or this evening, 5 p.m. Eastern.
Close enough.
Down a morning in Saskatchewan. Well, yeah, man, it was a great little weekend, and more to come. Just before we get rolling, just a reminder to everybody that all of our shows, where are you guys? There you are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also Twitch, and you can catch all the action on elpsports.com. There it is. Remember to hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons, and always share with your friends and family and the guy down the street. Else you can see. Please enjoy all of our affiliates. Lots of things for lots of people. More shows coming all the time, including we've been promoting a great little thing that's going to be on in the morning starting in May. So Edge of Philly is where you want to be, elpsports.com. You won't want to miss anything there. If you have missed a show, no worries. You can grab all the podcasts, all the major podcasting companies, which include Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, and so much more. And you can catch it on the EOP YouTube page at EOP Sports, or if you're looking for our stuff in particular, you can go to the All Across All the Time YouTube page, in which there are retro games, fights, interviews, press conferences, and a whole lot more, and more coming all the time. So please give us a look there and put a subscribe down. You can stay up to date with all sports by visiting elpsports.com, with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. While you're there, please subscribe to our newsletter. Well, there's a little bit of news going, but before we start anything, we got to get the ball rolling. There it is. All kinds of fun this morning, guys. Sorry. And the ball is rolling, guys. It's just taking a lot of tries, that's all. Both
so waking up.
Travis, I would love to, but I am hopping aboard a plane to Prague. Otherwise, I would be there because, I travel everywhere. But I would love it, man. If so happens you're in the playoffs, I pencil me in. I will find a way to get there. I may have to start walking earlier in the week, but I will find a way there. Shawn will pick me up at the airport, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And, of course, we got Eduardo with us.
Morning, Eduardo.
Morning, Eduardo. Good to have you with us. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, definitely, man. It was a lot of fun, and I only had a 45-minute drive this week, so it's just, it's funny. When I'm going to Albany, and it's 5.5, 6 hours, and, you're driving, and there's like 40 minutes left, and you're going, gee, we're almost there. I hop in the car, and it's, it's about 45, 50 minutes to get to Hamilton. And it's like, geez, this is a long drive. Psychosomatic idea. Just like I can't figure out when the traffic comes to a stop and there's nothing going on. And then it all goes again, a minute and a half later, you're going at regular speed and there's nothing, and there's no exits, and there's nobody adjusting their luggage in the side, and there's nobody with a flat tire. Why did we stop? Did we just want to gaze around and look at that part of the universe for a minute? Like, why? Happens all the time. I have a lot of time in these field trips. I ponder about things. Mind wanders a little bit. Anyways, we're talking about fandom and trips. Well, one of the guys, of course, I've talked about him before. Ross McLaughlin, who was really, him and his family were fantastic with me in San Diego. Well, Picture of him and his son, who's going to be a future NLL goalie at some point. There they are in San Diego, but they made the pilgrimage over to Saskatchewan to watch San Diego play the Seals in Saskatchewan go at it. And there they are in the first row, his wife and himself. And, of course, at the San Diego bench. Pretty good seats, I would say. But that's a 14-hour drive, guys. You want to talk about fandom. Yeah. That's fandom, man. That's to the extreme. That's, I've flown all over the place and driven all over the place, but 14 hours in a car for a game, that's extreme. Kudos to you, man. Well done. Well done. And, sorry the Seals didn't win, but, we'll get into that in a few minutes. But a few other things that went on, just briefly. Just a reminder that the McDougall third annual charity day is coming up. It's July 6th at the Rock Athletic Center. Junior A game at 3, celebrity game at 6. You want to be there for that 6 o'clock celebrity game. You want to be there for the Junior A game too, because it's going to be an awesome game. But the celebrity game usually has a lot of big names in it from yesteryear and from now, as well as some NHL guys and a few other people in there, some celebrities also. It's just an amazing event. I think it costs $10. It's definitely worth your time. There's beer garden, live music, there's food, there's silent auction, 4 to 10, usually some great stuff in there. So you want to get over there. It's for a great cause, for kids. So you want to do that. The Bandits, well, they're catching fire at the right time again, guys. They clinched. That's number 5 and number 6 because Halifax clinched also. Only 2 spots left, Mike?
Yep.
With only 246,811.
Yeah, it's a mess still.
The league put out something like there was still 37,000 something amount of possibilities before the weekend. Now, I know it's reduced by at least 50% since 2 of the 4 spots are gone, but there's a lot of different scenarios.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say I believe after the after today's game it drops to 256 total possibilities.
Only 256.
So
Matt's with us. There we go. This finals on a dog invitational tourney. 12:45.
awesome.
Nice.
From Blue Sasquatch on YouTube. Oh yeah, man. If you have some opportunity, I'll turn that on myself. Can't wait to watch that.
Yeah.
Not a Braves versus CTC Elite. Looking forward to that one now. That's awesome. I was wondering what I was going to do before the Panther City game.
Now you got something on tap.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what does it look like when a team sells out their arena? Man, it's Bandit land again, eh? 19,000 plus for last night's game. Isn't that awesome?
Excellent.
Toronto had 11,000 plus at their game, and it was loud. And they had to open up the upper bowl, and it was great. Biggest crowd of the year. It's been ramping up, actually. So, bing, bing, bing. I think it went to 9, 10, now we're at 11 and change. Playoffs should be awesome, especially knowing that they have home games. They're able to market, and they were marketing last night to 11,000 fans, as well as I've seen it all over the internet. So let's hope that keep it up, because playoffs are notoriously hard on the home team because you only have a week to get these tickets sold, and usually even Bandit land attendance drops off for it, unless of course you're trying to win the championship. Then it was 18,000 in there, and you couldn't hear yourself think or cough or hum or anything else. You thought there was an earthquake because the floor was rumbling underneath you, which is a little unnerving when you're in the press box in the roof.
Yeah.
Long drop down. But it is what it is. But yeah, attendance is looking pretty good. It looked pretty good in Saskatchewan too last night.
That wasn't too bad. I mean, I've seen bigger crowds, obviously, but
those championship years, you're going to get 15,000. It's tough to beat a sellout, right?
Yeah.
But for what's been going on over the last couple of years, that looked pretty good to me last night. At least what I saw on the NLL broadcast. Even Vegas looked good, but Vancouver was another one that's every week seems to be getting more and more traction. So, that's great news. It also proves the point that when you put it on TSN and ESPN, people see it. Hey, I want to go to, and they go. You know, maybe all those years of me standing on a soapbox, jumping up and down like the strange little man. Maybe something's actually coming about, but we'll see. A couple of milestones. Chris Corbeil, he played in his 200th game last night. Now, he's had all kinds of injuries the last couple of years. Otherwise, this would have happened probably last year. But that's great news. Great news. And he's looking great, man. He had a great game last night. He looked like Corbs of old.
Yeah.
And the Rock defense just was stifling. Corey Small. We talk about how much run and gun and shooting he does. 500 career assists. Actually, 502, I think. I think he had a couple assists after he hit the milestone. And friend of mine, Ripper over in Rochester, Craig Robzinski, well, his 400th consecutive NLL broadcast. That's impressive.
Wow.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I love Ripper, and been listening to him since way, way, way back, and just fantastic. I love the way he calls a game. Absolutely love the way he calls a game. Whether he's got a color man or not, doesn't matter. The way he calls a game is fantastic. Plus, he works in the front office of this Rochester team, so he wears a lot of hats, and he keeps himself very, very busy, but always has time. Always has time for the people. Always has time for the media. It's terrific, and love dealing with him. So, congratulations, Craig. Vancouver last night, another really great crowd and a great idea. They celebrated Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame, and they had a number of Hall of Famers in the crowd. A few that stand out there, of course. Michelle Boyer is on the far left, friend of the show. Just amazing. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we might as well get this out of the way, even though we're not finished with it yet. There's another game.
Dun dun dun.
But Mike laughing because Mike had the best week he's had all year. Even if he didn't win today, and he better win today because I have the same pick as him. So far for week 20, Pat stumbled this week, 2-4. Gary and Mike at 5-1. Shawn and Eduardo batting 500 at 3-3. Looking at the log jam here, Eduardo is sitting at the top, 77-49. Gary and Shawn are tied at 76 and 50. Pat is at 75 and 51. And Muffler Mike is working at that 500. It is attainable, Mike.
Oh, it's there. It's right there.
If Mike decides to pick with the group and not try and make things happen in the last week, he'll be over the 500 mark, and his prediction will be true. But yeah, if we're looking at today's game, here's the interesting fact, guys, is that Mike and I have Panther City as our picks. Everybody else has Albany as their picks. If Panther City wins, Gary goes up to the top with Eduardo. If Albany wins, Shawn goes and goes number 2, and Gary sits in number 3. And be tied with Pat. And Mike moves one step closer to 500. Panther City win. Yeah, that's the milestone. That's the one we're all going for.
That's the one we're going for. Yeah, 500.
Everyone's
You guys are
pulling
winning
for
this thing.
500.
Well, there was a time there where it didn't look attainable, Mike.
Yeah. Well,
and now you're there.
Took a few risks. Took a few risks this weekend, and they paid off.
So did I. I was with you, man. We both went 5-1. In fact, if Colorado didn't go to sleep with Tyler Carlson in the second half, it would have been a 6-0 week. So, yeah, Colorado. But anyways, with the Rock winning yesterday, they clinched first overall, and they have home field as long as they're in the playoffs, which is good for all of us in the Ontario region. I had to dig this one out of the archives, so I found my 2002 Rock Championship. Yeah, had to blow a little bit of the dust off of that one. I found a 2011 championship one also while I was at it, and the ring. So, yeah, found a lot of really cool stuff as I was searching this morning. Productive morning, I hope I have to clean all that up now. Because, when you put a lot of stuff, it gets buried. Something you don't go forever. But anyways, why don't we get through some of these games? We had 6 up to this point and 1 later. First one on the docket was Friday, and that was the Wings stunning the Mammoth. I had the Wings. So did Mike. Philadelphia rides 5-0 first quarter to emotional win over Colorado. I don't know why that's more emotional than some of the other ones. It's on the road. Emotional would have been if they did it at home.
Yeah, they've been good on the road.
Don't you think? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But why don't we take a look at the highlights of this game, and then we'll come back to it, because it was a bit of a strange one, and Colorado lost Dylan Ward in this game, which would lead us into the second game they played this weekend, goalie by committee. Anyways, here we go.
Right, and you talk at my first goal of my career, was here in this arena against Philly. It was a nice inside pass, pick and roll, nice dump over the right shoulder there.
We'll see how effective this power play is yet again. There's another shot. Does that find its way in? It is a goal. Player who drew that in the back penalty. Versaterets with it. Work opposite side. Philadelphia cycling well now, and the shot goes in. Look it around. There's a shot. That's swallowed up. I believe that was Domney shooting it. Now another running chance. A big pick out of Edwards, and Garrison puts it home.
I have to keep an eye on Connor Robinson. He left after the Zed Williams goal, holding his shoulder. There's Zed Williams putting it in after just talking to him. Within two.
He tosses it up top.
I also think, too, these teams, especially at this time, there's another goal.
Recitardis has another one on the night. That one was a hop on the goal line with clock that they want to initiate action. That's Jones. Recitardis trying to work it around now. He finds backside to Jones. Oh, what a pretty play. What a pretty play. Like he's no worse for wear. Now Bella has it. Bella up top. Quick spin from Kelly back to Bella. Bella looks to shot and a goal from Bella. I thought he was going to look to pass to McLaughlin.
Shoots the ball.
Colorado had a little 2-goal run to start. Now Philly's trying to answer, and they will. They will. Recitardis with another one. He's got the hat trick on.
If you actually do get pushed as a defender, your momentum is going forward.
That was a nice give and go to Eli, and now the ball's going to go in. Garrison, I think, thought he was rolling it back to Carlson. Now we've got McLaughlin out there. So we did see some physical play out there. As John said, there was a request, and despite having someone on his back, he's going to get it off to McIntosh. McIntosh on a slow trot. There's a shot. That hit the big stick head there of Tyler Carlson, and it's Leclerc grabs it and goes and dumps it in. Carlson make it a 2-goal game. Again, if you don't know the playoff scenarios, and they can be a little bit tricky, as Connor Kelly goes in, shoots, scores, hat trick, natural hat trick. Well, and Jamie, you don't want a game getting out of hand either. This has been, don't worry about that right now. McIntosh, I believe that's his hat trick goal. Surveys what he has going on in front of him. Physical play on Jones, but he's still got it up top. There's a shot. I think that was McIntosh from up high. For not allowing the runs, we keep talking about it. Jones getting ready to work out of the corner.
You're going to get some pushing and shoving in front.
Push it and shove his way to another goal for Jones.
All right. Well, takes in this thing. Oh, thank you, Don.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for listening. Awesome. Takes from this. Mine personally, like I'd mentioned in my pick'ems, is I thought we'd see a much more high-flying Philadelphia team, and that's exactly what we got. It's funny when you have nothing to play for, the pressure's off. But I'm also seeing a lot of movement, which I'm wondering why this didn't happen earlier, between Mitch Jones and Recitardis and a few other guys, McIntosh, and they're trying different things and moving around and not set shots and outside shots and quick sticks and a few other things that work for everybody else. I guess it didn't hurt that for them that Ward got hurt and Carlson went in, because that little roller in there was a gimme. But I guess when you're going well, everything goes your way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an odd goal. I think what happened was, I think Carlson thought he had it trapped in his equipment, and that's why he kind of froze up. So
Right.
he wasn't aware that that it had actually rebounded, and that kind of led to it rolling in. But I'm gonna just slightly disagree with your assessment that they had nothing to play for. By winning this game, they
Yeah.
knocked
Heck
down
yeah.
Colorado's standing, and their first round draft pick is originally belonged to Colorado. So, we'll get into it a little later, but with them dropping both ends of the doubleheader, Colorado's in last place now. So Philly right now is looking at the number 1 pick pending next week. Next week's outcomes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What are your takes on the game itself, though, guys? The high flying Philadelphia Wings.
Obviously, if you're a fan, you
Haven't
wished
said
it
that all
happened a
year,
lot
man.
sooner in
Yeah.
the season.
Well,
But
that's what I'm saying. It's like, why couldn't this have happened earlier?
Well,
Because it just doesn't make sense that that at the
no, I
end of
have
the
to
year,
agree with you, Gary.
with this kind of offense, this kind of firepower, this should have been going on all year.
Yeah, I was gonna say I completely agree with you, Gary. There's enough talent there. Let them be creative a little bit out there.
Yeah, exactly. It just it doesn't make sense to me. And goaltending wise, well, it looks steady. At least for there was about a 4-minute span there where it was like, what?
yeah, and I mean,
Mike?
a few of those goals when when it's 1-on-1 and it's 50-50. That's when if Higgins isn't making that save, you've got to pin that on the defense for blowing an assignment, more so than Higgins. So
But in some ways, I mean, they only got outshot 51-48, so it's not like Higgins was facing 60, 65 shots this time around.
true. So
Another
I think
big thing.
I think he was making enough big saves in the middle quarters to just kind of keep Colorado at bay.
But you touched on it there, Shawn. You touched on it there. It's the defense was able to knock down the shot total, because when you're facing 65 shots, even if you're saving 75, 80% of it, you're still giving up a lot of goals, which puts a lot of strain on the offense. 48 or 45 shots, and you're saving the same amount. You're 12 goals, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And your offense doesn't have to score 17, 18, 20 goals to hope for a win. 16, and they actually had a nice 4-goal cushion, and it was bigger through most of the game. So I would, Paul Day, note to self, this is how we have to run and gun. These set plays of, however they were running it, and week after week after week they were running it, were not good. When you have that kind of firepower and that kind of mobility, they need to use it, let alone the Catonis. We didn't even talk about them, or Ben McIntosh. Like, you look at it, it's an all-star team. They shouldn't be scoring 6 and 7 goals or 8 goals in a game. This should be the norm. And they're creative enough. All of them come from other teams, which they were very creative and put a lot of points on the board. Why, when they get together, are they having a hard time? Other than the Dutch soccer analysis, all these stars and only one ball, right?
Yeah,
right.
Everybody wants to be the star, so nobody's helping each other. Well, we're all in it together. So maybe that message finally got through.
Maybe it was Baby Shark playing in the arena. Fired
That's
him up.
the other thing, man. I am not going to.
Well, I said,
When
we
it
saw
plays for
Colorado
half the
score
game.
during his Baby Shark, so maybe that's the key. They just need to keep playing Baby Shark.
Keep playing it, right? They already play it for 32 minutes of the game. It's the only thing I know that's on repeat. No other song repeats. Not good ones, not bad ones. Just this one. Next thing you know, the video will come on in the screen, where the shot clock is. Just a cherry on the sundae. God, week in, week out. The only thing more perfect is if you put that Baby Shark song in a Georgia broadcast. Now we're talking.
Yes.
Now we're talking. That's good watching. Anyways, let's move on. We go over to a filled up KeyBank Center, and we have the Buffalo Bandits and the Calgary Roughnecks, and Calgary needed to win this to stay in the playoff hunt. Fraser shines with 4 goals. Kluche adds a hattie as Bandits clinch a playoff berth in rowdy Bandit land, but you can call it rowdy Bandit land basically any time. But 19,000 plus. I think 19,010 or something crazy like that. That's just awesome. And I imagine now they know they're in the playoffs, off go the tickets, and got to get them while they're hot. So why don't we take a look at the highlights in this, and then we'll come back and talk about this.
And leading it now is Josh Byrne, goes field wide. Back over to Chase Fraser, making the cuts, taking the shot, he scores! Here comes Buffalo now. We've got staging the penalties. We'll get you in just a couple of moments. Here, Buffalo with a scoring attempt as Buchanan is there. Back over to Byrne, quick stick, score! They'll get a fresh 30 as well. Dane Smith, done it all this year. There's a low drive, score! Buffalo! Nation night here at KeyBank Center. Chris Kluche, 6-point night last Friday in Denver. Score! Buffalo! And back charge, Priola will leave it, and the ball will be picked up immediately by Zach Courier. And storming out the front door, score! Calgary off the stick of Tyler Pace. Just a breakdown on Buff Byrne. Fraser. There's a shot behind the net over to Buchanan, twirling back out. Fraser with a drive, he scores! Back in the day when Quarterly was the coach, just hang on a minute as Priolo takes the shot, scores! Buffalo! At Byrne with a setup over to Nanacook, who scoots out. Despite being hampered by a defender, now the Byrne, he scores! Outlet passes, so you got sneakers like Simpson.
Yeah, you got to get your bench side to the bench, and the other guys have to get back hard. There's Kluche.
How about that one? Whoa, laser. Up tonight's game with a shorty. Fraser with his power. Swim move 2 behind the net. One arm takes the shot, he scores! 94 career assists. So Delbianco is 3 assists away from eclipsing Steve Dietrich. And how about that shot? Heavy on, finally, by Tyler Pace. And Ola remains out there to do some picking and shoving. Smith, low drive, score! Kluche! Top of the slot, tried to set up a quick stick over for Josh Courier. Ball retained, Courier again. This time Jesse King scores on the power play. They go with Dane Smith. Smith now from the top of the slot. There's a shot on, score! And as John Tavares said before the start of tonight's game, it's great to see the ball drop for a lot of the guys on the offense. And there's a shot to goal by Calgary. Just kind of as Fraser lets it go over to Byrne. Byrne over the shoulder, feet in front, over the shoulder, shot, score! Fraser!
Well, here's a quick take on this. Just before we get in there, this is for Pat. Thank you, Dusty Edwards, for that. Higgins with his 4,000th career save on Friday night. Pat?
Yeah. just note. Yeah.
Just a note to Pat. Yeah, guys. Here's my take on this Bandits thing is if Kluche and Fraser are heating up and are healthy. As a Rock fan here. Because they're starting to get a little more high flying and creative in the offense, which is something we talked about earlier in the year, is they were becoming very predictable. because they were only two-dimensional. Two meaning Byrne and Smith. If you got Nanticoke firing, if you've got Kluche firing, and if you've got Fraser firing, and you've seen the goals that he's put, none of them are non-highlight reel goals. That's a lot of weaponry, let alone the transition game. Yeah. Now, granted, I still am not convinced on their defense. It's not what it was. But still, they look good against Calgary. Calgary looked disheveled, man. Even Del Bianco looked off in this game.
Yeah, a couple takeaways. First, I agree with you, Gary, and it kind of reminds me of Colorado last year, where they kind of had a mediocre regular season, had some struggles, but turned it on at the right time, right? And
Yep.
as for Calgary, I mean, you can't spot the Buffalo Bandits a 4-0 lead early and expect to get back. Maybe that's why you're disheveled, because now all of a sudden you're down by 4 and you're again gripping the stick a little bit tighter, trying to force things to get back into the game.
Ain't that the truth, though? You can't spot Buffalo anything, let alone 4 or 5 goals. And, you know, Buffalo, they score it in bunches. Nothing comes one. Those games where Buffalo scores, someone else scores, Buffalo scores, Buffalo's in the L. It's the L column. It's when Buffalo gets on runs, 3-4 goal runs, that they pull away because it becomes a daunting task. And then Matt Vince becomes just that much sharper. It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
But it happens almost all the time when they win. Is they come on a run, Vince gets sharper. Those it's almost like he loses his attention when it's 1-1, you know, back and forth. When they start going big, he just seems to get more focused.
Yeah, Calgary's first goal wasn't until 23 minutes into the game. So
Yeah, you can't do that.
not the kind of hole you want to dig yourself in against any team, really. So
No.
No.
Not if you're vying for a playoff spot on top of that, right? It's just that much more suicidal in my eyes. But Buffalo clinches. So
yeah, and I mean, I guess the only saving grace for Calgary is, you know, their last game is home against Panther City, and you know, if Panther City wins today, I think they can still get in with a 9-9 record. So maybe Calgary can sneak in at 8-10, depending on tiebreakers and other outcomes.
right. Bandits are looking to face what? Halifax at this stage.
Right now, actually, a lot of that is up in the air, because now we've got Albany 10-6, we've got Georgia at 10-7, we've got Buffalo at 10-7, but they lose a tiebreak to both Georgia and Albany, and they also lose a tiebreak to Halifax. Should Halifax win next week, they would be 10-8. So,
well, it's fair to assume the Bandits are going to be on the road.
They are. They're playing.
Yeah.
No. See, not exactly. Not exactly, because next week they're
Here's
playing.
mud.
Yeah, they're playing at Vegas next week. Now, obviously, Vegas, you know, coming off a big win, which we haven't gotten to yet, but you know, you could say, hey, both teams kind of playing for nothing in that game, but should Buffalo not win that game, they would probably be on the road, just based on all the tiebreakers they lose, because they lose tiebreaker to Halifax, to Georgia, to Albany, and to Panther City. If Panther City wins out, they'd be 10-8 too. I believe Panther City still can get a first round home playoff game.
It'd be interesting if it be Buffalo against San Diego in the first round.
Oh,
that would be something.
That would be a good one.
Again, as a Rock fan,
you don't think the Seals would be salivating over that, being at home and a chance to avenge the week 2 loss?
Like I say,
yeah,
as a Rock fan, let him.
Oh yeah, you're like a butcher's dog. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Rock fans aren't the only ones who would like to see Buffalo make an early exit. But yeah, it's yeah. Unfortunately, I can't give you a straight answer on that. But that whole three through 6 or 7 is still up in the air. It really could be 5 or 6 teams,
Right.
placement wise. So,
Yeah.
and it's all going to depend on tie breaks, and tie breaks do not favor Buffalo head to head
At all. No.
No,
It shows
not
you where the
against any
season
of those
really
teams.
matters, eh?
And
Now it's paying
yeah,
dividends.
and in fact, well, I guess I can't throw them in there now because they can't finish 10-8. But they lose a tie break to New York too.
Right.
So head to head.
All right. Why don't we go up to the next one, and that would be Rochester, who needed the victory to stay in the playoff hunt, going against the Toronto Rock, who are looking to clinch first overall. And, well, here you are. Chris Bucci. Bucci scores 4. Small nets a Hattie. And Rock win 3rd straight. Clinch top overall seed in the playoffs. There it is, right? It was a weird game, guys. Weird game. Didn't look like Rochester's bus didn't arrive till the halftime. As you'll see in the highlights here, it was 10-1 at the half. Hutchcraft not having a good night, but his defense left him hang out to dry because he faced a lot of rubber in that first half. And then we saw Rylan Hartley. In the last couple of minutes of the first, he stepped in and played the entire second and basically stoned Toronto for almost two quarters. I think it was 23 minutes, 25 minutes altogether if you include the first half. That's pretty wild. And he looked good. He looked energetic, agile, Hartley of old. But I sit there every time he takes a shot. I hold my breath every time somebody winds up. I'm more uncomfortable than people close to him. I don't know. I've seen it. I don't want to see it again. Anyways, let's look at the highlights.
Rogers in, shoot, scores! Challen Rogers makes sure Toronto opens it up.
Wouldn't even begin to think of doing that. Another just beautiful play by Schreiber.
Rogers inside, and another in the back of the net. Bushi! And obviously, and what kind of life after lacrosse is an opportunity, but the player is Rogers makes a swim move, scores! What a goal! Go for one on the power play. Rogers with 2 goals in his back pocket moves on to Matthews up top. That shot stopped by Hutchcraft. Picking it up is Small. Now on to Matthews. He shoots, scores! Mark Matthews with a power play goal. Toronto still working a man up. Matthews. Deceptive. Behind the back, Rogers on the doorstep. Quick stick, Small scores! Corey Small, his turn on the power play. Fresh 30. 3.5 remaining in the 5-minute major. Toronto just dialing it in. Some weak knees for Rochester. And Small scores to make the Nighthawks pay. Small has time. He's not used to this. Hurried that effort. Nice setup. Bushi scores! Great ball movement.
Toronto with 2 defenders stuck on the floor to Stu and Weir. We'll look to see if maybe some defenders have the green light to stay and play a little bit.
Water scores! He was close earlier and makes the most of that play for the Rochester Nighthawks. Penalty coming up again. Stop me if you've heard that before. Nighthawks, what a goal! Behind the back. In tight for Lomas.
Completely.
Rock working it up, then down. Schreiber shoots, scores! Backer running out of time for the Nighthawks to shoot. Steal there by Cree. Empty net to shoot for. Brad Cree trying to bring it home. And he does with a little dazzle. Brad Cree will in his absence. The Rock captain missing 6 games. It was Cree, one of the guys that really stepped up the leadership role. And the Rock come back for another. Oh, they saved it right to the end. Hartley had been terrific.
All right, a few takes from this. When we talked about Hartley already, he looked good. You look at those last couple of goals, whatever, it doesn't matter. He only let in 2. So I'd say it's not a bad day at the office for his half game. The first half, the refs let him play, and Rock went freewheeling. Now, yeah, it was starting to get a little testy. The refs decided to call everything. Everything. Chintzy, not chintzy, debatable, questionable, everything. And the flow of the game in the third quarter was none. 0. Hence the comment from your announcer going, stop with this, calling a penalty. It's continuous, almost overkill. I don't want to see baseball on the game to be about that, and I don't want to be controlled on that. Yes, if it's egregious, of course, but if it's ticky-tack, we're coming up to playoff time. It's time to man up in this. This is whatever, but it's to kill the flow for both teams, because before you knew it, we have 4 guys sitting in the box. Then you get a 5-minute call. Oh, we're going to review it. Oh, it's only 2 minutes. Oh, it's not. Okay. We're calling 5s now. I think I brought this up a few weeks ago. We're calling 5s now on things that aren't 5s, just so we can review it, because all 5s get reviewed, and get another look at it to see if it's actually a penalty, let alone a 2. That's not the way it's done. Just like you're calling things goals. Now, it didn't happen in this game. Calling things goals that are questionable because coaches can challenge. Problem is, when it's inconclusive, it was called a goal, so it stays a goal. Now, Mike, we had another one of those plays that we talked about with the Panther City, Georgia game at the very end with somebody going through the crease. Dan Craig had a goal called back because Mike Hazen was smart enough to see it, that Craig went through the crease, ball came out, was passed to him, he scored from behind the net, and it was called back. Good call. Good sight by Mike Hazen to see it, and remember that Craig was ran through the crease and then was the next guy to get past.
Yeah, if I had to if I had to make a wager, I'd suspect that that'll be a point of emphasis at the off-season competition committee meetings.
Yeah.
That they'll probably have refs focus on. Hey, keep an eye on who's running through the crease and whether they're the next to touch the ball. So.
Yeah, because like I say, it's a few times I've seen it now here, and totally makes sense when I hear the call and the challenge. But overall, Toronto looked great in the first half. They just threw everything at them, and then playing with a 9-goal lead. Again, you're playing one just to keep sharp, not to get hurt, and basically try and kill 30 minutes. And Rochester, with that much on the line, was flatter than a pancake. Connor Fields had 3 points. Ryan Smith had 2 points.
It's not going to get it done.
You're
Not
not
getting it done
winning.
at all. No.
Kyle Waters had 2 points.
So
You're winning nothing when you're putting up 6 goals. You're winning nothing. Now, Nick Rose, like another performance, given up well under 10 in this one. Is there any question that this guy should be goalie of the year this year? Any? 14 wins.
I would hope not after
After he's off from irregularity.
yeah,
Besides
last
Patty
week.
O'Toole, for the night was a third in the all-time list of wins. There really is. There shouldn't be any discussion about him being goalie of the year. Even all the Rose haters all over the place for some reason. I don't even know why. And is he agile now? He's a hell of a lot more agile now than he was 10 years ago. That's odd, eh?
Yep.
And he's
Oh,
locked down in those last few minutes when the games that matter. When you're up by 10, a few things will go here and there, but I didn't see any cheapies going on him. Plus, I saw a lot of guys try and dunk from behind, and all of them were just bouncing off his back and bouncing to the corner. So things that may have gone in a few years back, they're not going in now. So even more bolstering my argument. But there just is no. I don't see a reason why he wouldn't win goaltender of the year. Thoughts, guys?
I don't know, 'cause I thought he should have won goaltender of the year last year too.
And the
I'm
year
right
before,
with you,
for that
Gary,
matter.
and somehow he didn't. So I'm right with you.
I'm befuddled on some of this, and I don't know
Gobstock.
politics.
Yeah,
Politics. Yeah. You can't give it to Matt Vince because he's not having a great year. Can't give it to Del Bianco. He's not having a great year. I'm really looking at around the league, and is there anybody else having anything close to this kind of year?
Mike said possibly Orig, but he did not have a great outing.
Didn't have a good
Great
night last
outing.
night, did he?
I mean,
Yeah.
the only, as far as I'm concerned, the only other one even remotely in consideration is Doug Jamieson. So I wouldn't even put Nick Demood in the conversation. You know,
Even
Jamieson
Dougie, with all due respect,
really
he had a
great last
couple of
week,
games
guys.
that
he's
weren't great.
he's been struggling in the second half of the season. So,
Yeah. His 4-game losing streak, maybe a 5-game, depending on how today goes, has to be taken into consideration.
Yeah.
Granted, it's not your fault or all your fault, but you're there for it. So, I just can't see. And then you look at the numbers, and Rose's goals against average are so far ahead of everybody else, or so below everybody else. And his minutes are higher than anybody else by a ton. And again, he's got 14 wins. By the way, that's a new club record. 14 wins in a year. And next week is Saskatchewan. Not a pushover by any stretch, as we'll see in the next game.
No, that game takes on a whole lot more meaning now.
Well, it does for Saskatchewan. It doesn't take on any meaning for Toronto.
Nothing for Toronto.
Toronto clinched first. I wouldn't be surprised to see Holochuk in that, tell you the truth. Yeah. Who's on the practice squad? I bet you we're going to see Cam Milligan in the damn game. Zach Kearney are going to be in the game. Yeah. Maybe Brandon
Saskatchewan, I'm
Slate's
saying,
going to be in the game.
from Saskatchewan, I'm thinking, yeah, please do. We need this game.
See, that's the only other thing, is that you don't want to roll over and allow the other team free reign into the thing. But again, you're not going to go and jeopardize, because how do you explain that to your fan base if Rogers goes down again?
Yeah.
Last game of the year means nothing, or Corey Small, or Schreiber, or somebody else like that.
Yep.
Now, granted, teams that were more notorious for being a little bit cheap, I'd be more concerned with. Saskatchewan doesn't have that reputation. They're just good players. So, I'd be a little bit more relaxed on that one. However, things happen, right? Anyways, let's get to the Saskatchewan game, because it was a barn burner, man. I had it on in the car on the way home, so I was listening to it as radio until I got home and watched the end of it before I flipped on the Colorado game. But wow, man scores 5 to lead the way and keeps Rush's playoffs hopes alive. Well, we talked about New York goes as Teat goes. Saskatchewan seems to be going as Mans goes. When he was slowing down, so was Saskatchewan for that matter. But let's have a look at the highlights. We'll come back with the game.
You're with each other. Outside look is Dunbar. Flip it. Berg all alone, and he scores. Westberg opens the scoring. 56 seconds in. Dolby with 5 on the shot clock. Defenders all over him. Behind the back, got the pass off, and they score. Dane at Dolby. Maybe a missed shot, maybe a perfect pass. Nonetheless, Trey Leclerc dunks it home from Co-op Field inside the Saskatchewan Center this evening. Patrick Don sends the rock up top over to Zach Mans, right down the middle, and he scores. Double it up to Zach Mans, puts the rush in front for Mans. Mans back to Kazevnikov. Kazevnikov can't get around holding. Up top, it's Mans. Salota high off the mark. Walter's going to drive. Got bottom side to the net, and he scores. Clark Walter hits the turbo, and he's got 18 on the year. Transition. The Rush are going to run it here. Boudreau finds Smith. Smith loaded high, scores! The Winnipeg Jet rips one home, and Jared Smith has his 3rd of the season. God's down for Robert Church. Back for Mance. Mance trying to go low. Rigoleri trying to get it behind him, and it's in. 5 for the Victoria Boys. Zach Mance gives a rush. Blocked by, I believe that hit Keegan Bell, and they reset the shot clock, though.
Yeah, certainly.
Seals get a gift. Here's Dunbar driving inside, and he scores. The loose ball. Barnable's up top. 2-time NCAA champion with RIT. Clark Walter, Port Coquitlam Products. 1-on-1 with Rubish. Walter on the roll, scores. Double it up, Clark Walter.
Pressure anybody. Next thing you know, you're either right in there, right in the crease almost.
Baptiste scores. 5-hole on Giuliano off the draw. It's Trevor Baptiste's third goal. They'll go 6-on-5 to get the ball in. Inside's Triolo, though, and it works. 6-on-5. And Mike Triolo has his first of the game.
Okay, guys, the obvious part of this conversation is San Diego had nothing to play for, so they didn't. That's not the game I watched.
Well,
San
San
Diego
Diego didn't know that. San Diego didn't know that because Toronto was still playing at that point.
Rigoleri.
1 point.
Had got pulled. Poulin comes in. It's not a great thing when you're heading into playoffs in 2 weeks. Your starting goalie has to get pulled. You're playing a team that you're trying to knock out of the playoffs, so of course you have that incentive, as well as you're trying to keep in for number one. And you come up with what, 7? All this firepower, 8, 9,
8, yeah,
8. Not a whole lot of firepower going on there. Now I've heard arguments that they do just what they need to do to get over. Well, they didn't.
Yeah,
They didn't do what they needed to do.
And I was going to say a point I wanted to make.
I was just saying, Dixon's still out of the lineup, so I don't know what's going on there. But
wife's very pregnant.
Oh, okay. No, that's a big chunk of your offense missing.
Yeah, that needs to rectify before the playoffs.
So because they're in the same situation next week.
Yeah,
another team that they can knock out of the playoffs, and this time they'll be at home. But
you need all hands on board.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, this is the one point I wanted to make was I think you really saw the momentum turn in the second quarter. Because Adam J and Messenger were both in the box at the same time, so it was 5-on-3 for a full 2 minutes. Boudreaux scored shorthanded, and the rush killed that 2-man advantage.
Yeah, that was huge.
That's huge.
You could just feel the momentum shift at that moment in time. Like the rush can do no wrong here.
Yeah, they even made mention when San Diego had the 5-minute power play and they scored 2. You almost have to put that on the board. You expect that. But how did they react? They come back and start scoring themselves again. They didn't let it affect everything. Now, Batiste, another one from the face-off, in for a goal. Granted, they're already down 5, but that's a little troublesome for opponents. If he's getting his offensive swing back again, doing a la Jake Withers, because at the right time, that could be a nail in some team's coffin. 2 weeks' time, it will be.
Yep.
But the Merrill experiment, to me, he's still a step behind, and he's trying to use his muscle, which is getting him in the box. The 2 2s and a 10 didn't help at the end of the game when you're trying to make a comeback.
Oh, especially when you're trying to come back. That's my thought exactly. Was he was becoming more of a hindrance than a help when you're just spending your time in the box, keeping your team down a man. And then like he took the penalty and then just started lipping the ref and got thrown out. And you can't have that.
Yeah, especially when you're there to lead the rest of them and be the extra thing on a defense that was, in my opinion, not the best already. And
and the
rest really kind of exposed that, didn't they?
Yeah, and I was going to say there were, I think Drew Belgrave and Eli Gobrecht were scratches if I'm not mistaken, for that game.
I believe so.
So, those are some pretty important cogs in that defense. They're not necessarily the team's top defenders, but they're important cogs in that defense. And they're going to be needed come playoff time.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the other goaltender too, because there's been a lot of talk. Can Frank Scigliano play that big game and get that big win? He looked pretty good last night.
Yeah.
He looked pretty good last night.
And
He
then
made some
gets a
big
chance to do it
saves
again next week. So,
Yeah. Well, that's one thing, unfortunately, how he didn't turn out. But again, on that penalty kill, that's one of the things Derek Keenan said. Like, we need a big taste from Frank to get through that, because they're going to get good looks on a 5-on-3, and he came up big.
Right. Scigliano looked great, but his inconsistency throughout the year is a little troubling. But if he can put it together, man, because the rest of the team is gelling. Since Keenan's come back behind the bench with Quinlan, whole different team, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, what do we say too? San Diego did not want to get in a track meet with Saskatchewan. And what happened? Saskatchewan pushed the pace pretty much that entire game. They knew.
Well, that would have been their game plan right from the start, because old tired legs this time of the year against young, fresh legs, fresher legs.
And San Diego had no answer to it.
Yeah. It didn't look good at the start though, because San Diego was doing what San Diego does. The Dobie things, Westberg, those are typical San Diego goals. And 2-0. And when I was looking at my score sheet and looking at, wow, this could get ugly fast. And when I looked back and saw Saskatchewan up, it's like, I need to rewatch this.
9 unanswered goals. Gary, 9 unanswered goals for Saskatchewan.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
That's unheard of for a team that's sitting second in the league.
And again, it's funny because Saskatchewan too is, up until that point, had not won a game when they did not score first. So this is their first win where they actually had to battle back after getting off to a slow start.
Now, a team like that starting to get character wins, which means they're starting to get confidence. And confidence can, that can hide a lot of other things that are happening underneath. So, it makes up for a lot of iniquities. Confidence is everything when it comes to this, especially this time of year. And if they can start trusting in the goalie, in Scigliano, look out, because that means the offense gets that much more freewheeling. They're not that apt to want to go back and have to feel the need to play second goalie, sixth defense. That's they can go do what they're supposed to be doing. And guys like Triolo certainly have taken to that. Boy,
that's the thing, right? Like, much as maybe some will disagree with me, but that's a dangerous offense the Saskatchewan has. Even if you take away, if you take away the Churches, the Keenans, and the Mans, Kostiuk has showed he can score.
The next rung of guys.
Clark Walter has been playing unbelievable last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Triolo.
This has been the Keenan thing and the Quinlan thing, is these guys need to learn under these guys and get their footing. Now the confidence thing, well, you don't have to worry about Keenan or Church or them getting confidence. They have confidence. They've been in the league forever. When you start getting Clark Walter's confidence and those guys in Triolo, now you have something.
Well, that was the interesting thing about last night, right? Church had 0 goals.
Yeah.
And they still won.
And they still scored how many?
Yeah.
13. Yeah.
Without Church's assistance.
Finding the net. Yeah. That's scary good.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I like on that power play too. I like when they put Mike Triolo up at the top. That I think that's a stroke of genius to have a guy that size run the point.
Yeah.
Because he can easily distribute. He can,
Well, look at the
How many?
shot.
How many? Yeah, how many of those goals have you seen from him with that overhand shot that just
You have
no
Triolo
one,
and Mans,
no one
and
can
you have two
stop. No one
cannons.
can.
Two
Yeah.
cannons out there with Triolo and Mans, let alone the finesse with Church and the finesse with Keenan. And then you're talking again, Clark Walter and a few other guys in there. It's like, holy, there's a lot of talent there.
But like, I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of the season. You know, I mean, we thought Derek Keenan was going to be the guy to figure out the right role for Mike Triolo
Mm-hmm.
in an NLL offense, and he has, and it's paying dividends.
Right. So
and
my
this is
question,
again, I repeat what I said the last few weeks. This is an offense that's still waiting on Levi Anderson.
Yeah, so that's going to be something.
Yeah.
now, one more time to go to San Diego and Chris Wardle, 1 goal. Was it worth the move? Was it worth the roster spot? More so.
Well, probably with Dixon out, they were probably looking for him to fill that hole.
Yeah, I would say. Well, I would.
Did he
I
though?
would. I
Yeah,
would
no.
add. I would add to that. Do we know the situation with Mac O'Keefe? Because
No.
I think there's. If I had to guess, there's something going on that he needs to be back east, and that's why he's not playing. And it wouldn't shock me if we saw an off-season deal where Mac O'Keefe.
Shouldn't we have seen it over at the trade deadline? Because that would have helped you.
Maybe, but if you're a contender, why are you going to trade for him if there's a possibility that he's not playing this year anyway?
True.
Yeah.
True.
Why
But
you
you know, I look up and down the lineup here. I just have their stats in front of me, and you know, Westberg goal, 3 assists. Dunbar had another great game, and he's since the Toronto game, he's come into his own. A couple of goals a game. He had 2 goals, 2 assists in this game.
Well, he's finally getting the chance to play with Dixon on the shelf.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Austin Stotts, a goal, 4 assists, and a lot of joying between the fans. Maybe stop paying attention to the fans because you're not a wrestling heel, and concentrate on doing what you're doing. Because he's one of the best players in the league. If he's focused, he's a liability to his team if he's not. And 11 penalty minutes, or 2 penalty minutes. You know, sorry, looking at Brody. Austin had 2 penalty minutes, so I can't get him on that one. But you know, if he's focused, and I've seen him laser focused, and he's unstoppable. But if he gets sidetracked, and you know every team is going to try and do anything they can to get him sidetracked, Toronto has a really good way of getting under his skin. So, and the teams in the playoffs, they're going to spend that little extra to get him going.
And see, that's San Diego's Achilles heel. You're mentioning Stotts. Dane Dobie's the same way. If you can get under his skin, he loses focus. Brody Merrill, you get under his skin, he loses focus.
He loses it, period.
Yeah.
16 penalty minutes for Brody. That's his stat for the night. Yeah, no goals, no assists, no nothing. Yeah. And a lot of it in the leadership. If you're leading that way, you're not on the floor leading. And I know that 14 minutes came with 2 minutes left. But it's the play leading up to that also was sloppy. When he's too busy worrying about someone hitting somebody, and then he's got to get his face in there, you don't need to. They're all big boys. But Dobie a goal and an assist. Jay Govett, nothing. Trey Leclerc, goal and 2 assists. These guys need to be the ones with the 3 and the 4s up there. San Diego has the talent to blow teams out by 5 and 6 goals. The excuse has been they're doing just enough to get by. They need to put it in another gear. I watched it with other teams. Is that if you play that way, when it comes time to put it into gear, you don't have that gear because you haven't done it all year. When I was teaching, I told my students, you play the way you practice. That's the truth. Under pressure, that's exactly the truth. Case in point.
And I feel, again, going back to that point of losing focus, is the San Diego team is a team where once they start getting down, again, like you mentioned, Gary, they lose focus. They start taking dumb penalties, penalties that could be completely avoided, and it just snowballs, right?
Right. Now they can make me a liar and they can come and win by 12 goals next week. That would make things a whole lot more interesting come playoff time. I don't want to see them, honestly, for them to be where they are. I don't want to see them win by 1 goal next week. And I don't want to see them lose next week. I want to see them what they can do. That way there's no excuses in the playoffs, win or lose. No excuses.
Yeah, after that game almost San Diego can't really sit guys just because after that performance they need to.
Well, they got to make sure that all the gears are working.
Yeah.
And if they're not, they need to find a way to get them working or find some other gear to get in there, because it's getting 1 more week. That's it. Then we're playoffs. Then it's a put up or shut up. And I don't know how things will be in San Diego if they have another one of those freak first round exits, because they were stunned through all summer with the exit last year to a team that actually made it to the finals, almost won. In Colorado, who got hot at the right time. Does that happen again?
Yep. And the beauty of the
Bandits,
series, right?
Well, being in second place, they're probably going to be playing a team that's, going to have
them in playoff mode for a month.
Yes.
Yep.
Because they had to play the top of their top to get into the playoffs.
And honestly, even if it's, wouldn't this be a heck of a game? Them in Halifax, a team that's
Halifax,
that's very similar to that. A team that's very similar to them in that when they start to lose focus, they start to take dumb penalties and they get unraveled. So imagine 2 teams with the same implosive type of nature going up against each other in the first round.
Great game to watch. I don't know if you're a fan of it, that's a great one to watch, but
break out the NLL record book for most penalty minutes.
Penalty minutes, yeah.
Yeah, or it could be the most finesseful game you've ever seen. Yeah. You have to tune in to watch it. Let's move on, guys. We're going to go over to the Colorado, Las Vegas, and Vegas needed 1 more win to equal last year's total of 5-13. So they have a chance to surpass it because they pulled out the victory. They actually looked quite good in the second half of this game. Not as good in the first half, but Jack Hanna, man, some of those goals were just incredible. Hanna's 4 goals leads the way to victory. Kelly scores 5 in a loss. I'm telling you, he's just a magician. He's a field guy, and he's just a magician when it comes to boxed. Another Tom Schreiber-like guy, another Kieran McArdle-like guy who's able to make that transition into box and not be hampered by it, where most haven't had that ability. Let's have a look at the highlights, and then we'll come back and talk the game.
Of some of their injuries yesterday, and both teams, as Hanna rips one in, he has 2 early ones for the Desert Dogs. Vegas gets the quote-unquote offensive rebound, and Bertrand catches it. 3 in a row for the Desert Dogs. This is the 3rd ever meeting. The home team has won each of the first 2. Connor Kelly, 4th team in 4 years for him, and he scores. An underrated player in the league, according to his head coach. 2 former overall pick in Dylan Watson, and his growth during his rookie season. They don't want to let you talk, because we're going to have to talk about this Kelly goal as it's Dogs looking to find a way to claim some momentum back. And that might help right there as Jackson lays the lumber. It's a transition opportunity, and Reinhold scores! Straight game with a goal. He's been electric recently in transition and shorthanded too, as Elliott has a great look for Jackson, and he connects.
Bully his way to the front, get great looks, and that, quite frankly, has been missing. I'm curious to see if he's going to warm up.
And the Desert Dogs respond. That is a goal, and it's Bison connect.
My face when Nick said that there, because he might have made a couple decisions earlier in the year where you cringe a little bit as an O guy, but he's been great lately.
Colorado, though, scores back the other way. Made the save. Kelly, Tyson Gibson exchange, and Gibson finds it. It snuck past Kells in the corner, and the player who...
That one's free. Next one will cost you.
I'm going to run away regardless, just to let you know.
Well, I got your back.
Appreciate it. Kelly has the top corner, and with abilities off and on this year, is on short-term holdout. Shot clock down to 5. McLaughlin whips a pass, and that is in the net. I wasn't sure if that was side of the net, so that this is the way for sure Vegas wants to play. I mean, they would prefer the up and down because it's their best chance to score. That's what Coach Willie told us. And Hannah scores. Jack Hannah has a hat trick as well, but it's also Marvel's superhero night. So that's why you see the Spider-Man unis. Here is Hellier circling around. He shoots and he scores! Hellier ties the game at 10. Couple minutes that they've gotten. And in the past, Las Vegas has not been one of the better teams at generating extra possessions. That's the sign of growth.
Oh,
That's behind the back. Spectacular! Woken rushing the other way. He forces Kells to make a save in a couple of really quick possessions in a row for Colorado. Here comes Jackson. Scores! Jumped him in the game. Substitutions at backup goalie Watson. Penalty time expires. McLaughlin triggers again. Phillips rebound try, and Kelly scores. Technically an even strength goal. The fifth man hadn't really gotten back out.
All right. Just before we get into the game, Vegas made news also this week by announcing they're leaving the Strip and getting out of the casinos there, and are going to be moving over to Henderson. Their announcement was the Vegas Desert Dogs, city's professional lacrosse team, proudly announced today a new era with Lee's Family Forum as their new home venue for the upcoming 24-25 season, in partnership with Foley Entertainment Group. The Desert Dogs will host 9 thrilling home games at Lee's Family Forum commencing this December. So they're getting off the Strip. Now, good and bad about that. One, well, the Strip is the Strip, right? Vegas is known for the Strip. But locals, just like I hate going to downtown Toronto, locals hate going to the Strip. So this might bring a little bit more attendance of regular people who live in Las Vegas, as opposed to the casino going crowd and going, hey, this is a cool thing to do. So, as you can see, attendance is waning. It's not what it was last year when it was the new thing in town. And 5 wins a year isn't going to bring them in.
Right.
That being said, other than it was really confusing because I'm used to seeing Colorado in red, Vegas in white. I had to double check a couple of times. Good old Spidey over there, But it was a weird game. They used the third string goalie, Nate Feckin, in net to start the game. To me, that doesn't show a lot of confidence in your number 2. But he did take over at the half. I guess this was a design thing to platoon your goalies. I would have left him. Nate was looking pretty good. And the second half didn't look so great for Colorado. Thoughts? Mike?
Thoughts are celebrate, Wings fans.
Yeah. 2 losses in the weekend.
You have the number 1 or the number 2 pick based on this loss. Obviously, it's going to depend on week 21. If Vegas loses and Colorado wins, then they'll flip-flop and Philly will end up with the number 2 pick. But otherwise, right now, Philly has the number 1 pick in the draft. So, but yeah, certainly with a number of guys out, you had to expect that Vegas was going to be competitive in this game. Dylan Ward, I think Evan Downey, Josh Sullivan were out. Capito was out maybe too for Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
So it was they were definitely a little shorthanded. But I thought the Vegas uniform. I thought the Vegas uniforms were better. I thought they were better than the Riptide's Spider-Man uniforms personally. So I thought they did a better job with them.
Right. I am not a huge fan of the Marvel comic thing, anyways, but I see a lot of the same, just with a different logo on it. That's all. But yeah, Capito was playing. He had 3 loose balls. That's it.
Okay.
No points.
Okay.
But I'm getting Eli McLaughlin. No goals, 3 assists. Tyson Gibson, he's lit it up this year. 3 goals, 4 assists in this game. And Connor Kelly, of course, 5 goals, 1 assist. I don't know, guys. This team really so unpredictable. They'll play great one game. They'll play like they never played before the next game. I just can't get my head around it for a team that's been in the finals the last 2 years.
Sorry, Gary, I just want to add one more name to that list. Zed Williams, 0-0-0 across the board. That's troubling.
Yeah,
that's very
6 shots
troubling.
on goal, 7 loose balls, and nothing. Had the 1 called back, but other than that, nothing. John Phillips, 1 goal. Tim Edwards, he looking good on faceoffs, but yeah, even loose balls only 4.
Yeah, and we talked to the goaltending situation in Colorado. What's scary is you're seeing
the future.
There's no contingency plan in Colorado without Ward.
That goes for a lot of teams, man. That's a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, like, I see Buffalo. I see Buffalo the same way. If Vince retires tomorrow,
yeah, you're hoping Alex is going to be the guy. He hasn't played a game yet. I was talking with Craig Wendy a couple of weeks ago in the Arena Lacrosse League about the goaltending in the NLL, and 85% of this league is in dire trouble if their starter goes down. Toronto's another one. Troy Holochuk, as much as I love him, I've watched him in junior, that's not NLL caliber. We've seen what happened when Jameson went down. We've seen what happened when Vince went down. Right now, Vancouver's probably sitting the best because if Walsh goes down, you got Bold.
Yeah, I was going to say, like Saskatchewan here, they had to make a strategic move. We can get into that if we want, moving Rishka to the practice roster. And like I've seen Tom and Kazak in warm-ups, and he's a small guy. Like I think he still needs to fill out a bit,
right,
before he's a starter.
Vegas is another one, man. Vegas is another one. Landon Kells goes down. Joel Watson, he's not a first-string goalie. That's, it goes all through the league. New York, Dunkerley goes down, then what? It goes continually. I can go team after team, and there is no contingency. Philadelphia, Higgins goes down, and is Deacon not ready?
Rochester, it's kind of like football, right? It's always kind of like football. Like, you can have a great first stringer, but he goes down, and you have just nobody's your second string.
Yeah. Well, I say now that Hartley's healthy, or I guess healthy.
Healthy-ish.
Him and Hutchcraft as a 1-2 is not a bad thing. Calgary, if Del Bianco goes down, then what? San Diego, Poulin and Riglieri. If Riglieri goes down, is Poulin in that?
We saw last night with Poulin. He looked shaky. He looked like a 38-year-old goaltender who hadn't played in 2 years.
Well, there you go, right? They're supposed to be coaches at that stage, right?
Yeah.
So basically, Vancouver, Panther City, Halifax, and maybe Philly are looking good in that regard.
That's about it, man. It is. And Rochester. And ironically, Philadelphia and Rochester.
I could make an argument with Rushka. I could make an argument if he had Rushka as the backup in Saskatchewan. I mean, like I said, there's a strategic move because of free agency and stuff like that, and a practice roster thing with Thomas Kaiser. But
that's pitifully low for what's down the pipe. A lot of the goalies that I'm talking about are close to the end of their careers, and they better figure it out soon.
And I guess that's why I brought this whole point up, right? Is because Ward, depending on what this injury, could that maybe be it for him? Like you said, Vince, maybe.
Well, let's say Ward started the year injured, and he's finishing the year injured, right?
Or is this the catalyst for the folks who want him? Yeah, folks who want him trade. Hey, look, I mean, they're already looking towards next year. As much as we just talked about some of the not so great numbers from last night from the right-hand side, you're looking at Williams, Gibson, Kelly, and Ryan Lee on the right-hand side up front. That's not a concern for next year.
No.
No.
Your left side, maybe it's a concern having traded Wardle, but I mean, you've got 2 40-goal scorers in McLaughlin and Robinson. So, it's not to say that there isn't more that can be added on that side, but I think it's going to come down to the possibility that maybe you trade him in return for some defensive pieces while he still has decent value.
Yeah.
And you just roll the dice on I think it's Fascine. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Nate Facken.
Okay. I think you rolled, maybe they roll the dice on him.
Well, I guess they didn't look too bad in the first half, so maybe you just let him work through it.
7 goals, 34 shots. That's not bad.
It's not like the defensive pieces that Colorado has been unloading have been absolutely vital or core players. They traded Jokum back. That was probably a geographical thing. The Dawson trade was probably a geographical thing. And hey, I'm not playing on a contender. It's clear. Can you send me to a contender, please? Because I might be calling it quits soon.
And close to home, please.
Yeah. So,
and Toronto had no spots for him.
Well, you go back to Wardle too. Is that just looking at next year?
I think so. I think they just start to, they're. I don't think they're in too much different of a situation than Rochester is. It's clear that the issue right now in Rochester is the defense. And I'm almost tempted to pose. Hey, take the defensive personnel, pick 5, keep them. Unload the rest and start over.
Yeah,
on the defensive end for next year.
We talked about that last year, though, and they didn't. So.
Yeah.
You look at those successful GMs like Como and Keenan. That's where they start. They start building their back end first.
To that one, too, because the defense is stellar in Toronto. And he went out and picked up big pieces when it was looking not so stellar. And had a whole bunch down the pipe. Actually got rid of a few. Because there were too many young ones. So, all right, we got one more game, but plus we have today's game. But Vancouver and New York, and a big crowd over in Vancouver. Great to see, man, from those empty arena days. Charlotte Beatties and Martel each score 4 as Warriors win their 5th straight, stay alive for the playoffs. This isn't by no means the team that started the year. This is the Malowski effect.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And
technically, if the playoffs started today, they're the 8th seed. So
yeah,
pretty wild. Let's look at the highlights. We'll come back.
Lane, and then a broken play almost results in another shot. Vancouver. Oh, McCully clip it over the shoulder.
Went high over the crossbar. Delayed call on here now, and a shot scores. Sundown from the wrong side of the floor, put it off the bounce, and put it past Walsh.
Getting 2 or 3 goals from a night, they would take it.
Power play brought to you by RS Breakers and Controls. As ball will load and fire and score. That didn't take long. As he took his own net off the goal line, but managed to make the stop, and here come the Riptide once again. They might have numbers. 3-on-1, in fact. It's Brownell. Scores! 5-hole on Walsh. And the goal killing. We'll work it around to Keegan Ball as Crowley sets the high post. Here's Charlotte Beatties on a step, a pump. Didn't pull the trigger. It's Ball now. Charlotte Beatties scores. That one will count.
And able to disrupt a cut, not let him catch a pass.
Organize the Masters golf pool. Scores! That one snuck through for Killen. Here's Keogh. Matisse. Kiernan into the middle. And you know they're looking for 51, and here he is. Scores! Set play works. Half here for Vancouver. He'll feed Crowley, who had Vancouver's opening goal here tonight. And he's got ball on the roll to the goal, and a kick stop rebound. Martel scores! Oh, he plucked it right out of the crease. What you'd have to say is a patented Kyle Rubish check. Ball into the middle, got a little room, shoots it, scores! Well, you don't want to do that for King of Ball.
3-time champion, still as crafty as they come.
Rochester, Colorado. Here's ball one more time, and Dunkerley goes post to post. Dunk attempt, scores! Vegas Desert Dogs are on the move as well, Brad. They're not leaving Nevada, but just heading down the road a little bit to Henderson in a brand new building. As Jeff Teat from outside scores.
The righty.
And that's why they switched benches, Brad, this year. Kowalski making that move to create those opportunities for Ball, but this time it's Charlotte Beatties with his own opportunity.
What's the lock game here against Bowering?
I expect that to be a strategy here for the Vancouver Warriors as well as Teat. An absolute snipe into the top corner to draft. He said, no, this is where I want to be. Here's McCulley looking short side. Kid stop. Rebound. Dunk. And McCulley's got two. Right side of center as Walsh starts to make his way to the Vancouver bench late in the shot clock, however, as Martel trying to create late scores. Oh, Ryan Martel with a gem as he sticks it short side. Comes skip feed down to the crease, so Connor double clutched on it. Here's Teat on the drag. Flip it. Keogh! Clip it! Look at this. Look at that from Stephen Keogh. He did it again.
Yep. A couple of interesting things, guys. Obviously, we've talked about it before. Ryan Martel has come into his own. But also, Brad McCulley. Coming from Buffalo. Took him a while to get adjusted, but he's looking great in their offense. He looks like he has much more of a role than he did in Buffalo now.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, not to get ahead of ourselves, but look at that left side potentially for next year. You get a full season of Charlotte Beatties, Martel, McCulley, and Lowen all together potentially.
Wow,
that could be something.
Yeah,
and they're all coming in strong. They're a lot more high flying. You notice that the passes are much crisper, and a lot more movement, which makes the defense shuffle around, which means they can't just plant a box and, you know, away they go.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting that, you know, that whole left side is almost all those guys are, you know, you can almost kind of call them, you know, like hybrid type players where it's like one guy isn't just, hey, I'm the outside sniper guy and, you know, or I'm the off ball guy who's just going to, you know, pass and, you know, shoot very rarely. They all can pretty much do it all. You know, and you saw just in that clip, you know, several of them had dunk attempts, you know, cutting into the inside, you know, taking shots from the outside. So just a lot of versatility on that side. And that's going to be difficult for anyone next year to be able to contain.
Absolutely. It's going to be a barn burner of a finish. And, again, seeing the Vancouver arena, you know, mostly full. My God, from all those years of next to nothing in there. Wow. So, a few moves that they've made that have been gold. You know, one, of course, is bringing Miloski in there.
Yeah.
Two is moving them from Langley down to downtown Vancouver. Now, again, I'm not crazy about Vancouver or about any downtown, but this one, right on the subway line, right there at where BC Place is, Rogers Arena, Costco, right there. Across the street from the arena, Costco. But Vancouver uses their space wisely because what's on top of a Costco? A condominium on top of it. So when you go into the Costco, you want to see the support pillars in there. Holy. They're not just little beams like that. It took me off guard some things I saw in there and how to use space correctly and use every inch of it. Anyways, let's take a look at the standings. And Toronto is in front there, clinched first place overall, 14-3 with 1 to go. San Diego 12-5, Albany 10-6, Georgia 10-7, Buffalo 10-7, Halifax 9-8, Panther City 8-8, Vancouver 8-9, and then it gets even muddier. Saskatchewan 8-9, New York is sitting at 8-9. Calgary 7-10, Rochester 6-10, Philadelphia, Las Vegas, and Colorado all waving bye-bye. 6-11, 5-12, 5-12 respectively. You were mentioning some of the possibilities, Mike.
Yeah, obviously Rochester still is mathematically alive. They
have
do
I think a 1% chance. If I saw that right.
Yeah, it's obviously they have a doubleheader next weekend. But even if they don't win both, even a win over Georgia, does a lot of damage to Georgia's prospects, so I think you have to. Every game's important. We've been saying it all year. So you can't count some of these teams out. And even if it doesn't affect playoff seeding or clinching a playoff berth, it could certainly affect something else. Your draft position for the entry draft. So.
But it's interesting also that none of these teams can really mail it in other than maybe Toronto and maybe San Diego. But San Diego had such a rough week this week. They can't mail it in.
Yeah, I can't. I don't think they can mail it in.
Yeah, they
really,
can. I mean, they're home against Vancouver, and Vancouver, wants to. That Vancouver, I don't even think it's a situation where it's win and you're in, because they are in a similar situation to Buffalo, where I think some of the teams around them, they do not have tiebreakers on. They do on New York now, but they have a split with Saskatchewan, and I believe if they end up tied with Saskatchewan, I believe they lose.
I think New York has a tiebreaker, don't they?
On Vancouver? No.
Oh no, it's in Saskatchewan.
Oh, Saskatchewan, yes.
Oh yeah. If it's a three-way, it might be a little different. But if it's just two-way going to the common opponent's tiebreaker, Vancouver, I believe, loses the common opponent's tiebreaker to Saskatchewan.
Yeah,
and I believe they lose a common opponent's tiebreaker to New York as well.
At the moment, I think it's very good.
Yeah, because I was just going to say, just going off of Cody's tweet from before this week started, I mean, in Saskatchewan, you go 9-9, so you basically hold your own destiny. With Toronto, you have a good shot of making it. Looks like if you're going 8-10, actually it's going to be contingent on Calgary, because you get the tiebreaker with New York, Calgary, and Panther City, Vancouver, New York, Calgary, and Panther City, or Calgary and Panther City. So it looks like really they need to get in a multiple tiebreaker with Calgary at 8-10 if they want to get in.
Right.
Now that may have changed with how this, because there's only 2 spots left, but because if I had one win works, like with Saskatchewan, I think they were a 21% chance. They beat San Diego. Now they're like a 42 or something. Like they doubled their chances.
Yeah.
Just with that one win.
Yeah. Well, I know they hold that. I know they hold the common opponents tiebreaker with Vancouver because they played twice and they split the series. You have to go to common opponents.
Yeah.
And because they're tied right now. They're tied 1-loss record, but common opponents, I believe Sask is up 1 game. And they both have 1 common opponent left to play. So in order to stay tied in the actual standings, they will both need to have the same result, which means Saskatchewan wins that tiebreaker no matter what.
Well, we all need to sit back and have a rock lax.
Where's the turf monster?
Yeah, what happened to
Turf monster? We now relax. Rock and have one of those. If you're in San Diego, maybe a couple of these salties will do it for you. But, I prefer to have just a rock lax and kick back and watch some of the action.
Where's the Czech Pilsner?
It's coming.
Come on, that's coming soon.
Next week. Going on. Rebeski Cups to go with it. Don't worry. There'll be the 2024 Rebeski Cups to go with the 2018 through 2023 that I've got sitting here. Maybe I can exchange one for maybe a 2010 one or something. It'll float around there. Depends.
You just got to move all
they're
those
being
hats
sold. The
behind
old
you
cups
and-
come out. It's funny
You
how
got to
that
move
works.
out all those hats behind you and just do a little tower of Herbeski cups.
Yeah. You got every team here, right? There, I only got one Rebeski tournament, right? But upcoming games for next week. We talked about Rochester. They're playing Georgia on Friday in Georgia. Vancouver is in San Diego. That'd be a big game. Big game. Saturday, Colorado is in Halifax. Could have been a big game. I don't think it's going to be much of a game. Albany, New York. This one's a big one, and a lot has to do with how Albany plays today. And I think it's more for Albany than it is for New York. But New York's still got a lot at stake on this thing, too. Panther City is playing Calgary. And again, a lot has to do with how today turns out.
Yep.
Toronto is in Saskatchewan. Really, when I looked at it earlier in the year, it was more of a, that could be a big game. Now it turns out it's a big game for Saskatchewan. It's how up does Toronto get for this? And they want to keep the momentum going forward. So.
Yeah, and just to back up real quick with Panther City, I believe they are guaranteed to clinch a playoff with 2 wins. So if they win out, they're in.
Yeah. So they're going to be playing.
And what I'm saying is they don't need help. They don't need to win out and need help to get in. They win today. They win next week. They are in.
They don't win today, and then we have a whole lot of scenarios.
Oh yeah, it's a lot.
It makes things very interesting. Yeah.
But I think they'll be playing for it because
today.
Yeah, like I said, I think they still have a chance. If they win out, I believe there's a decent chance that they can get a home playoff game, believe it or not.
Wow.
It doesn't look like it right now because I think they're in 7th place or whatever. But they hold tiebreakers on. They would hold tiebreakers on Albany, Buffalo, and no, not Halifax. There's someone in there I'm missing.
Georgia, isn't it?
No, they actually, believe it or not, they actually lose the 3rd tiebreak to Georgia.
Okay.
They lose after, the common opponents tiebreak. They'd actually be tied if they win out. But the next tiebreaker's head-to-head goal differential, and they split a series with Georgia, and unfortunately, Georgia won their game by 2. Panther City won their game by 1. So they lose.
You didn't think you had to go all the way down to the 4th one on there, did you?
No, thank goodness we have not, and I don't think we will need to. unless there's like a situation where it's 3 or more teams tied with a 1-loss record. So
this will be the hardest pick'em. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
quite possibly. Yes.
Quite possibly. But we'll see. Anyways, continuing along, Buffalo is playing Vegas. Still means a lot to Buffalo. Yeah, it means a lot for Vegas too.
Yeah, that's a potential home first round.
Yeah.
If they win.
And when you see Bandit Land, that's a big thing. For Buffalo, that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, Philadelphia and Rochester in the battle of, next year. Great level of parity is right.
Yeah.
I'm saying that all along, though. But this is incredible how it goes right down to the wire. And still a lot of things haven't been decided. Even if you're in the playoffs, you don't know where you're playing or who you're playing for most of these guys. And a good chunk of them don't even know if they're in. Well, guys, that was a hell of a week. It's been a hell of a year so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best is yet to come. A reminder to everybody that we are on next week as well at 11 a.m. Eastern. And then the following week, I won't be here, but it'll be back to Sunday night at 9. Pat will be filling in the captain's chair. But my crew here will be doing the majority of the first round playoffs. And, stay tuned. This is going to be an interesting one. If I'm up at 4 a.m, I will be able to, type in a bit.
Wouldn't expect any less.
Yeah,
of course. I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. What's going on? Got to keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on. A reminder that we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Thread, also YouTube, and eopsports.com/lacrosse for all your lacrosse needs. We have our finger on the pulse of the situation at all times. We are up to date with everything that goes on. We watch and most likely are at all the games. And that will continue along through the PLL, through the MSL, through the WLA, as all of that starts getting rolling in the next couple of weeks as well. Playoffs end here, and then the rest begins. So it's going to be a busy summer as well around here. We will have people all over the place with live reports. And Senior B, we will have recaps of all the games as well. So OSL, I have been in conversation with Joe Hiltz, the commissioner, and we're going to take care of that. And we'll be up on their site as well as ours. So it'll be there for your enjoyment and information. We work very hard to make sure you get all the information right up to date, right up to time, in real time. And we're going to continue to do that. It is our privilege and our pleasure to do that for all of you. Please visit our YouTube page. Again, there's much more stuff coming. When I get back from Prague, there will be a couple more retro games ready to go up. And they are from all the way back from the Eagle, really, with the New England final in there, as well as some of the early Toronto Rock games. And I believe there's a Bandits one in there as well. So the Philadelphia, New Jersey game finally got up there, finally got rid of all the copyright issues. So it's there for your viewing enjoyment as well from the mid-90s. So please give it a look and give it a subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody to come in there. Let's build that thing up big, baby, so that we can use it as more and more tools all the time. Last words, guys. I'll go first to Saskatoon. Shawn and his different digs.
Yeah. Man, this has been awesome last week. There's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Mike, last words for this week.
Yeah, so same here. It's definitely going to be interesting. We've been saying all year that every game matters and every game counts, and none more than today and next week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I am really curious to see how this plays out and how the final standings look after, by the time showtime hits next Sunday morning, and see exactly what transpired, how it's going to affect everything, and where everybody's going to sit. Because I think we're going to have a number of surprises. Things that we think there's going to happen as we sit now. I think it's almost going to be someone shook everything and everything is upside down. We could see some first round matchups we've never seen before, which makes it even the more intriguing. So I don't think anybody should be comfortable where they're sitting, and just be prepared for absolutely anything. And that's the beauty of it. And just an absolute brainchild by, eliminating divisions and making it top 8 get in. I don't think they ever envisioned it would be this down to the wire for this much and this many different scenarios coming into the final week. So it's going to be exciting. Anyways, for Shawn Slaght, who is in Saskatoon this week, for Muffler Mike, who is in Connecticut, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, and we wish you the best of weeks. Remember, keep your stick in your hands. Keep tuned to all lacrosse all the time. And we will get you through all this with all the information as it happens. Until next week at 11 a.m., take care, and we'll see you then.